I'm 71 years old, and I need to tell you something that took me most of my life to admit.
Almost everything we're taught about success, happiness, and getting older is wrong. I believe the same story everyone believes. Work hard, be responsible, do the right things in the right order. Career first, life later. I thought if I followed the rules, meaning would show up on its own. It didn't. I believe the same story everyone believes. Work hard, be responsible, do the right things in the right order.
Career first, life later. I thought if I followed the rules, meaning would show up on its own. It didn't. I spent decades chasing what society told me mattered: titles, stability, respect. I thought those things would eventually turn into fulfillment. I thought time was generous. I thought clarity came automatically with age. I thought I was doing fine. But looking back now, I see the truth clearly. I wasn't living, I was complying. I moved from one expectation to the next, checking boxes that weren't even mine. I told myself I was being smart. I told myself this was what adulthood looked like. Here's the part that hurts to say out loud. No one forced me to live that way. I chose it because the lies were comfortable and questioning them felt dangerous. That's the trap. You don't feel lost while it's happening. You only notice when time is already gone. And by then, you don't get to start from the beginning. That illusion lasted until I was 52. I was sitting in a meeting, nodding at numbers I barely cared about, pretending this was important. When the room tilted, my chest tightened, my vision blurred, and suddenly, none of it mattered. The next thing I remember is a hospital ceiling, fluorescent lights, plastic tubes in my arms, my wife standing in the corner trying not to cry. The doctor said I was lucky. A cardiac event, he called it. A clean phrase for the moment my heart almost stopped. Lying there, unable to move, unable to distract myself, I had nothing left to do but think. And that's when it hit me. I had been living on autopilot. Wake up, go to work, meet expectations, repeat. I wasn't making choices. I was following a script, doing what a responsible adult was supposed to do. Here's the terrifying part. If I had died that day, I wouldn't have missed my life. I would have missed the chance to ever live it. That's what a near-death experience gives you. Not motivation, clarity. You see the truth all at once, not dramatically, coldly. You realize you weren't running out of time. You'd already been spending it on the wrong things. Once you survive something like that, you start noticing the lie everywhere. The most dangerous sentence we tell ourselves is simple. I have time. I said it for decades. I'll slow down later. I'll travel later. I'll focus on what matters later. When I make more money, when I get the promotion, when the kids are older, when things finally settle, I waited and I waited and I waited. Here's what no one tells you. That day never comes. Every time you reach a goal, another one replaces it. You earn more, and suddenly you need more. You get the title, and now there's a bigger one. You think you're moving forward, but you're just running in place. I spent 30 years climbing a ladder, convinced it would lead somewhere meaningful. Only at the top did I realize the truth. It was leaning against the wrong wall. And time doesn't work the way ambition pretends it does. You don't get to rewind. You don't get to start over with what you know now. You only get one chance to notice, and most people notice too late. That's the real cost of later. I know this part is hard to hear, especially if you're still chasing it. Success is a terrible goal. I say that as someone who got what he wanted: the title, the income, the respect in the room. I remember the first big milestone I hit. I shook hands. People congratulated me. I went home feeling 10 feet tall for about 2 days. Then the feeling faded, not slowly, abruptly. Nothing was wrong. And that was the problem. So I set the next goal, and then the next, each one bigger, each one louder. I thought achievement would stack up into meaning. It doesn't. It resets you back to baseline and demands more. That's the hamster wheel no one warns you about. Run faster, smile harder, prove yourself again. I watch friends do the same thing. Brilliant people, disciplined people, people who gave everything to win. And when the noise finally stopped, what was left was quiet regret. Not because they failed, but because they succeeded at something that didn't matter. You don't notice the emptiness while you're busy. You notice it when the applause ends, and by then, you've already spent your life earning it. When people hear regret, they imagine disasters, failures, public mistakes. That's not how it shows up. What haunts you is quieter than that. I don't lie awake thinking about the deals that didn't work. Those faded years ago. What stays with me are the absences. The trip I kept postponing because work was too busy. The conversations I rushed through. The dinners I skipped. The weekends I told my family, not this time. I remember sitting at my desk late one night telling myself I was being responsible, that this sacrifice mattered. It didn't. I think about the book I always said I'd write, the skill I wanted to learn, the version of myself I kept promising I'd get back to. I never did. Regret isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself when you're young. It waits. It shows up later, when the house is quiet, when the phone stops ringing, when there's finally time to think. And the cruel part is this: you can't fix it with effort anymore. You don't regret what you did wrong. You regret what you never allowed yourself to do at all. Those moments don't come back. They just stay unfinished. And you carry them long after everything else has been forgotten. There's another lie we rarely question, that the people we love will always be there. They won't. When you're young, time feels elastic. You assume there will be more calls, more dinners, more chances to say the things you keep postponing. I believe that too. My father died when I was in my 40s. A heart attack. Quick, final. We had a complicated relationship. Nothing dramatic, just unfinished. I kept telling myself I'd call him when work slowed down. I'd visit when things weren't so busy. I thought time would wait for me. It didn't. What I regret most isn't what we argued about. It's the Sundays I didn't call, The dinners I skipped because I was tired. The small moments I treated as optional. Loss doesn't give warnings. It doesn't schedule itself around your priorities. One day, the option is gone. And here's the truth no one likes to say. When that happens, you don't mourn just the person. You mourn the conversations you never had. The love you assumed could wait. Time with people is not renewable. And once it's gone, nothing you achieve can replace it. After everything falls away, what's left is almost embarrassingly simple. Not the things you owned, not the titles on your resume, not the numbers you chased. What matters is who you spent your time with and how present you were when you were there. I used to think meaning came from accumulation, more success, more security, more proof that my life was worth something. I was wrong. Meaning comes from moments you actually show up for, a conversation where you're not checking the clock. Work that feels honest to you, not impressive to others. Experiences that stay with you because you felt them fully. Not someday, not later, now. Here's the mistake I made. I treated those things as rewards, something I'd earn after everything else was handled. But they're not rewards. They're the point. You don't build a life and then live it. You live it while it's being built. And if you keep postponing presence, you'll eventually own a life you were never really inside. That's the quiet tragedy most people don't notice until there's no time left to fix it. So here's the question I avoided for most of my life. If you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived so far? Not impressed, not respected, satisfied. Strip away the titles, the explanations, the excuses. Would you feel complete or would you feel interrupted? I didn't ask myself that question until it was almost too late. And when I finally did, the answer scared me because I realized how much of my life I was gambling on later. Later is not a plan. It's a delay tactic. If the answer is no, then what are you protecting so carefully right now? What are you so busy with that you're willing to risk your one life on it? I'm not asking you to blow everything up. I'm asking you to stop lying to yourself. You already know the truth. You just keep outrunning it. The question isn't whether you'll change someday. The question is whether someday will arrive before you run out of time, because it always runs out. If I could speak to my younger self, this is what I'd say. Stop trying to impress people who won't remember your name. Stop trading your health for a career that will replace you in a month. Stop waiting for the perfect time. It doesn't exist. I waited for it, and it never showed up. Life will always be messy. There will always be bills, obligations, reasons to delay. If you wait for things to calm down, you'll wait forever. Start now, not next year, not after this project, not when you feel ready. Ready is a myth we use to stay comfortable. I'm in my 70s now. I don't wake up with urgency anymore. I wake up with awareness. Time is not on my side. It never was on yours either. You still have a choice today. Keep living the way you are or start living on purpose, because one day the waiting ends.
Here's the truth it took me a lifetime to accept. You don't start living when everything is in place. You start living when you realize time is not. Someday is a story we tell ourselves to avoid choosing. It's not coming. It never was. The moment you understand that your time is limited, something shifts. You stop postponing life. You stop negotiating with fear. There is no later. There is only now. And now is already slipping away.